Well, let me ask you something. Is your company's AI governance plan real, or is it just for show? It's a tough question, but we really need to get into it. Today, we're going to explore why so many of these well-intentioned AI policies are, well, pretty much doomed to fail before they even get started. And this quote, it just nails the problem. Without a solid technical foundation, AI governance is nothing more than a performance. Yeah, it might look impressive, with all the right buzzwords and committees, but it's got no real power when things actually hit the fan. And this performance, it's happening absolutely everywhere. Companies are scrambling to publish these high-minded principles, they're forming oversight committees, and they're checking all the right compliance boxes. But here's the thing, is all this activity creating real governance, or just the illusion of it?
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this whole illusion. Because as it turns out, it is a show that we have all seen before.
Seriously, this isn't a new problem. It feels like déjà vu, right? We've seen this exact pattern play out time and time again. Remember with cloud computing? Organizations created these huge governance frameworks, but didn't build the cloud-native architectures to back them up. And with data, they wrote these super detailed policies, while all their information was just stuck in totally ungovernable silos. And now, history is repeating itself with AI, writing shiny new policies on top of old architectures that simply cannot support them. But here's the catch. This time, the stakes are so much higher. By 2026, the EU AI Act is going to be in full force, and we're seeing new state laws popping up all over the US. And the really big one, agentic AI. Systems that can make decisions and take actions all by themselves, they're moving out of the lab and into the real world. This whole policy theater is about to face a very, very real audience of regulators and autonomous systems. So let's really pull that curtain back. Let's look at the fundamental disconnect between the policies people writing and the actual technology that's on the ground.
Here it is, the core truth. Policy is your statement of intent. It's what you say you will do. But architecture, that's your actual capability. It's what your systems can physically do. And when there's a gap between what you say and what you can do, policy is going to fail every single time.
All right, let's make this real. Take explainability. A policy might say, all AI decisions must be explainable. Sounds great, right? But it's the architecture that determines if they actually can be. If your data pipeline wasn't designed with lineage tracking from the very start, there's no way to trace a decision back to its source. The policy is just meaningless, it's a wish. And it's the exact same story with data protection. The policy says data must be protected. Of course it does. But if your architecture doesn't have data lineage, access controls, and audit trails built right into its very structure, then protection is just an afterthought you're trying to bolt on later, and it's going to be full of holes. And this one's my favorite. Human oversight. The policy insists a human must remain in the loop. But what does that really mean? It's the architecture that determines whether that human is a genuine control point, with the context and the time to make a real decision, or if they're just a rubber stamp, mindlessly clicking approve on a fire hose of automated outputs. Okay, so if a policy-first approach is the wrong way to go, what's the right one? Well, it starts by asking a totally different set of questions. Questions about architecture, not just about checking a box for compliance. The solution is really an architectural blueprint. It's built on 4 key ideas. Making sure your architecture can actually support your rules, designing for auditability from day one, building for adaptability in a world that's always changing, and treating governance as a live, functioning capability. Okay, let's break those down. First up, support. This is the most basic question of all. Before you write a single rule, you have to ask, do we even have the technical plumbing to make this possible? Like we just talked about, if your data architecture can't track lineage, no amount of policy writing is going to magically make your AI explainable. It just won't work.
Second, auditability. Are you building your systems so that you can actually go back and investigate them later? Because regulators are absolutely going to want to know why an autonomous system made a certain call. Trying to retrofit logging and observability after the fact is a total nightmare. It has to be designed in from the very beginning.
Third is adaptability. The legal landscape for AI is changing constantly. A rigid, hard-coded government system is going to be obsolete in no time, leaving you non-compliant and totally at risk. Your architecture has to be flexible enough to adapt to new rules without needing a complete, painful overhaul. And finally, capability. So, is your governance plan a binder that just sits on a shelf collecting dust, or is it a living, breathing part of your day-to-day operations? The most successful organizations are treating governance like infrastructure, with automation, real-time monitoring, and clear response plans. It's an active system, not a static document.
So how do you pull all of this together? This is where we run into the final and maybe the biggest challenge of all: convergence. You see, AI governance doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to be integrated with your data governance, your cloud governance, your cybersecurity frameworks, even your procurement rules. If you try to manage these things in separate silos, you are going to create contradictions and some really dangerous gaps.
This is where enterprise architecture becomes absolutely essential. It is the only discipline that has that 30,000-foot view required to see how all these different governance puzzle pieces fit together. It's the one function that can sort out the competing requirements and build a single, coherent model that actually works in the real world.
The ultimate goal here is a complete shift in thinking. We have to stop treating compliance like an administrative checklist that we just slap on top of our systems. Instead, we need to make it a structural property, baked into the very fabric of the technology itself.
Which brings us right to the final critical question that you should take back to your organization. It's not enough to ask if you have an AI governance framework. The real question is, does your enterprise architecture have the strength, the design, and the capability to actually make it real?